Guys, going into the two big teams, not victims, big teams, right, of 2024. To me, is this, is these two, right? One is this is the year of election. Now, when I say election, it's not just the US. It's not just the US. Guys, make a guess. How many other countries held their elections in 2024? Type a number in the chat. Okay, I see how many of y'all really read news. Okay, right? How many of y'all really read news? How many countries actually held their elections globally in 2024? Right, so we had US, I just name a few. We had US, we had UK, we had Argentina, right? Yeah, we had Indonesia as well, right? How many? How many countries? Give me a number, give me a number, right? CL says 60, okay, right? Oh, Thailand, oh yeah, Thailand also had is it election? Yeah, Thailand also had an election, right? The number is actually 72, if I'm not wrong. 72, that's close to 50% of the world population that we had held election. Okay? And one thing I want you all to remember is that this year, what happened to most of this country is that the rise of the right over the left. Okay, so guys, you all understand what is right and left or not? This one got importance to investing on. This will have a relationship to my top stock or one of my top stocks for 2025. Okay? Hey guys, you all understand what is right and left or not? If you understand, say yes. If you don't understand, don't be shy, just say no. Then I'll explain to you. Okay. Right. Xin very good. She is very honest. Okay. So in politics world, right, there is the left hand and there's the right hand. Okay, so what is left hand? Left hand is basically Democrats, liberals. These are all left-handers. Okay, not left-handers, left wing, left wing. Okay. Right wing is basically Donald Trump, your conservatives, your Republicans, right? These are conservative, right? The right side. And this year, the majority was won by the right side, the right wing. Maybe only UK. UK was the left. The rest are actually the right. Very seldom do we see center policy work to answer Kelvin's question, right? So this year, a lot of the election went to the right side of the picture. Okay, so that has a very big impact. Why? Because there's going to be a huge policy shift towards the right. Now, the right side, usually they call it Republican, but the other word is called what? Start with C. C stands for conservative. So you can see a lot of Donald Trump's policy is about inward looking. Make America great again. He never say make the world great again. He say make America great again, but at the expense of who? Okay, so all this, just be very aware. So I think this will cause the policy shift to really happen. Now, the good thing is that we see right now is central banks are already cutting rates, right? Out of the, I think, 37 major central banks, 27 of them initiated rate cut in 2024, right? So that's a good news. But one thing to take note is that what caused the last week of December market to be so, like, it's been going, oh, that's suddenly crash sideways. It's because Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve, delayed the rate cuts and they further said, next year, we're not going to cut so much. Right? So the center rally for a while, then after center finish, right? Christmas finish, I start to drop. Okay. Right? So this is the main policy shift that's happening. Right? And at the same time, remember, there's one country that stood out not reducing rate. So everybody can type in the chat. What is that one country that did not reduce rate? In fact, they raised the rates for the first time in 8 years. Yes, it is the land of the rising sun, Japan. Okay. So Japan, I think, is going to be a very interesting market. Hey, I'm going to leave a lot of clues in my sharing to what I feel about next year. So y'all must pay attention. Okay. I feel that Japanese current exchange current equities is going to be an interesting point. Okay. Now, another thing is the second biggest nation, China. Right? China is doing a lot of injection into the market. Will that work? Don't know yet. But I think at least on a cautious point, some fiscal stimulus will happen, and that should generally be positive. Okay? All right. Now, the one thing is that, hey, Pete, we go into 2024 with so much bad news, high debt, interest rate was still high back then, but how come the US still, made it? How did US still made it? Very simple. I think the two main reasons, right, for US to still be so strong this year is these two. One is domestic consumption, Okay. All right. And one is corporate profits. With higher domestic consumption and higher corporate profits, it just helped to push up the stock prices. That's why the economy did not falter, despite the Federal Reserve delaying rate cuts and still saying next year we're not going to cut as much. Okay, by the way, I'm going to say it here and I will see whether I'm wrong. I'm going to catch Federal Reserve bluff, right? I am fairly confident that they will cut more than just 2 times next year, even though they say only 2 times. Okay? Why do I think so? Because I feel that they are on the path of no return rate. If they really don't cut more than two, that's where they're going to get into trouble. Okay? And who is on the helm now? The helm now, okay, you can say Jerome Powell's on the helm, but the real captain on the helm is who's the real captain of the US right now? Who is the real captain of America? Yeah, Mr. Donald J. Trump. Okay, and you know his policies about rate cuts, okay. So I think this too is likely going to continue in the next year as well. Okay. So I think Donald Trump is going to continue his policy. Now, Donald Trump policy can be good, can be bad. I mentioned this to my community before. I'll just repeat again. I think generally Donald Trump might be good for the US economy, even though he's very conservative in a certain sense, right? He's just very inward looking, but he's doing a lot of positive stuff. For example, he's cutting rates, he's having deregulation. This will likely to cause capital inflow, stronger US dollar, US dollar, right? But there is some negative. The negative is that with all the tariff, maybe we'll see a little bit of resurgence of inflation, okay? And leading to maybe slower Fed rate cuts. But I think the rate cuts dropping is really not an option for them, right? Okay, now Jessica has a great question. How to buy Japanese stocks? Very simple. If you are using Interactive Broker, you have access to Japanese stocks. You just need to go to the platform and ask for permission. All right, click that you want to buy into Japanese stocks. Okay, all right. So these are the main thing about Donald Trump policy that I just mentioned. Okay, I think overall more positive than negative for the US market. Okay, and I think there's going to be a few beneficiaries, right? One of the country that he's going to do a lot of tariff. Okay, you know which country is going to suffer the most tariff from Donald Trump? Which country is going to suffer the most? Yes, China. Okay. Hey, but guys, do you really think that China stopped producing to US? Do you think China stopped producing for US? No. Okay. This one is my own personal, I would say, on the ground, touch the bricks, right? I talk to my friends who are business people, and this is what I hear is happening. Okay. Right. So this is China. Last time, China straight away produced and sent to US. But now this is going to have a huge tariff. So how do you get there? PS is very good, very sharp. So what they do is they go buy other countries to reach the US. And mainly these two countries are Vietnam and Mexico. Or MX lah, they call it. Okay. So currently these two countries, what they do is they will take the spare parts or whatever, right? Come to Vietnam, they will assemble, then they will send it to US. So actually, then that is still China supplying US. It's just that to avoid the tariff, they go through a longer route. Right. So over here, I think there's going to be a bit of a benefits for markets, like for example, in emerging nations. Right. Now, I would say the way to buy into such countries, like for example, just now I mentioned Japan, Vietnam, and Mexico, is not to straight away go in and say, oh, which are the companies to buy. To me, the best way I would do it myself is I would just go for country ETF to start with. Right? Get familiar with it already. After you're familiar with country ETF, then you can branch out into the specific individual stocks that is in the ETF, right? So that's how I would personally do it. Okay, so this sums up the recap for 2024, right? That's how I would like to see the world. But would it be correct or not? I'm not sure. But I think based on the information and data, I think this is the best guess I can have. Okay, right now, let's go into 2025. Okay, so I would say the main lesson learned and my main takeaways are going into 2025 are this, right? Number one is that I think global stability will start to return. Last year, we had a lot of negative news. I think this year, people start to realize that, hey, it was a lot of banana and and hoo-ha and nothing happened, right? So unless we're gonna have another like very serious issue, I almost can't think of a reason why of anything that can impact the market anymore, to be very honest. But of course, that is always a very scary way to think about it, right? When you say that, hey, nothing can happen, something can happen, okay? Right? So, but right now, on the horizon, I don't see anything. In terms of policy, I see monetary policy easing, interest rate coming down, right? So, what I think most people should be doing, and that's what I'm definitely doing, is to hold more assets, right? One way for you to hold assets is definitely in the stock market. Another way is, for example, in real estate. For me, I also include Bitcoin as well, right? So I think this is the main message for 2025. I feel that the wealth concentration for asset holders is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's going to pull away, right? As much as I don't like this, I think the world should be a bit more fair, but that is, I think, what's going to happen. So I'd rather be on the boat, on the ship, right? That is pulling away than to be left behind. So I'm going to go into a massive mode, right, of accumulating assets, right? Predominantly in the stock market, real estate, right, and also cryptocurrencies. But cryptocurrencies, like I said before, I only accumulate Bitcoin and ETF. Ethereum. The rest I don't really care so much. Okay. All right. I know a lot of you out there are other coin holders. Just don't argue with me lah. Okay. Okay. So